Well, good morning, Willowbrook. Thank you for joining us for our daily Devo. Today we're in Romans chapter 13. It's a great chapter, but the first part of Romans 13 really is something special to me because one of the things I get to do is I'm a volunteer chaplain, Huntsville Public Safety Chaplain, which means we serve the fire department as needed, and we serve the Huntsville Police Force. And so because of that, every month I try to do a ride-along with a couple officers and get to encourage them, get to engage in what's going on. Every once in a while, it's a sad sense, I'll get a call in which I have to go help an officer do a death notification because of a traffic accident, or maybe someone passed away in another state and we go and notify. But most of the time it's just spent with the officers. And I won't tell you, I've been doing this for about 15 years. And I don't think it's ever been harder to be a police officer. There was a time in which they were held in just great respect by everyone. And because of some bad officers, kind of all police officers have been painted negatively now. And, it's like, tens of thousands of planes take off and land safely every day. But what do you hear about? The one that crashes. And when you hear about that, it kind of shadows everything. So this is a verse or verses I've shared with officers I've ridden with. A lot of them didn't know that their job was mentioned in the Bible. So I'd mentioned that to them. And I read this. So I'm just going to read from Romans chapter 13, verses 3 and 4, and then talk about it a little bit. It says this: if you do what is right, you won't need to be afraid of your rulers. But watch out if you do what is wrong. You don't want to be afraid of those in authority, do you? Then do what is right. The one in authority will praise you. They serve God and will do good. But if you do wrong, watch out. The ruler doesn't carry a sword for no reason at all. He serves God, and God is carrying out his anger through him. The ruler punishes anyone who does wrong. Yeah, I'll say that sometimes, and I'll just say, you realize you're a minister like I am, just a different job, and encourage them in the job they do. And I love what it says. It says, they don't carry a sword for no reason. Well, now, obviously, they don't carry a pistol for no reason. They're there to protect us. As a matter of fact, if you look at the police cars in most cities, especially in Huntsville, that drive by, it will say to protect and to serve. In other words, they're there to protect us and serve us. And yet it is so tough to be an officer nowadays. There was a time, I remember, again, when I first started, they would have an academy and they would get all these people who have to go through background checks, have to go through interviews, and every academy class, they would end up with more people who wanted to come in than they had room for. And they just say, apply again. Well, now those classes don't always fill up because there are not enough qualified people who are applying. And it can make it tough here in Huntsville, but it is much worse in other cities. I've actually read where some of the big cities, some of the ones that are more dangerous, they're having to lower their standards now just to get more people to come into law enforcement. And so, we're blessed in Huntsville. I've ridden with officers who told me they wanted to be in law enforcement. They were in law enforcement in another city. It got so bad, they came to Huntsville because they have the support high up, and they also feel a community acceptance they don't feel in other places. And so I would just say to you guys, a practical way, at Willowbrook, we have divided up the officers and HPD, and we pray for them. Also, I would say, if you see an officer at lunch, thank him for his duty. You can buy his lunch, or her lunch, but you don't have to just say, hey, thank you for protecting and serving us. They need to hear that. And I would say this too, just a practical way. Have you ever been on the parkway and maybe going a little faster than you need to, and you notice everybody's pulling to the right? So you kind of speed up real quick, and you realize why everybody's slowing down is because there's a police car in that right lane, and then all of a sudden you slow down and back up. I would say when that happens, rather than thinking, I'm going to be late now, instead just say, God, thank you for those officers. Because do you realize how they not only protect and serve, but they actually do create a desire that pushes against wrongdoing. As a matter of fact, think about it. Your wrongdoing was just going maybe 5 miles over the speed limit, but when you saw them, you backed up. And so when other people see police officers driving through our neighborhoods on the road, there's people who maybe have worse things in mind to do. And they see them, they go, I better not do that. See, they are really being used as a restraint against, if they weren't here, the evil that would rise up. So I would say the next time you see a police car, pray for the person in that car. If you know a police officer, get an opportunity to thank them for what they do, for the service they do. And understand, we can actually feel blessed to be in a city in which they are treated better than most, respected better than most. And I would say our job is to pray for them, respect them, honor them, and thank them for their service to us. We live in a better city because of the men and women who serve us in our law enforcement. Guys, I hope you have a great day. Thank you again for joining us for our Daily Devo.